Valentine's Day, 1981. 12-year-old Todd Domboski is walking through his grandmother's backyard in Centralia, Pennsylvania. The ground opens beneath his feet. He falls into darkness, 4 feet wide, 150 feet deep, steam and toxic gas rising from below. He grabs a tree root, his cousin pulls him out. 6 inches farther and he would have died in a hole that should not exist. The hole opened because the ground beneath Centralia is burning. A fire that started in 1962 and may burn for another 250 years. A fire that consumed an entire town. This is Centralia, Pennsylvania. In 1962, it was home to 1,100 people. Today, 4 remain. The town did not die because industry left or because young people moved away. It died because the ground beneath it caught fire. Centralia sits on top of the Mammoth vein, one of the thickest seams of anthracite coal ever mapped in Pennsylvania. In some places, the vein runs 35 feet thick, and in others, it reaches 70 feet. It is a layer of solid coal as thick as a 7-story building. All of it lies less than 300 feet below the surface. Founded in 1854, Centralia was built to extract that coal. By 1890, the population reached 2,761. 5 active mines employed over 800 men underground. The town produced more than 100,000 tons of anthracite per year. That was enough to heat 20,000 homes through a Pennsylvania winter. But beneath the prosperity, something dangerous was happening. The mining companies followed the coal wherever it led, under houses, under churches, under streets. They left behind a labyrinth of tunnels, rooms, and shafts stretching for miles. Most were mapped, some were not. All of them were connected through fractures in the rock and abandoned passages that had been sealed but never filled. By 1950, 4 of the 5 major mines had closed. The population had dropped to 1,400, but the town itself held on. People owned homes, raised children, attended church, lived normal lives in a town sitting on top of millions of tons of coal. Then came May 27, 1962. The Centralia Borough Council hired 5 members of the volunteer fire company to clean up the town dump. The dump was located in an abandoned strip mine on the eastern edge of town. It was a pit about 50 feet deep, half filled with trash. With Memorial Day coming, the borough wanted it cleaned up. They authorized a controlled burn, a common practice at the time. 5 firefighters lit the trash and let it burn. Then they doused it with hoses that afternoon. The surface appeared clear, but embers remained, smoldering beneath the trash. What they did not know was that a 15-foot hole in the base of the pit had been left unsealed. Pennsylvania state law in 1958 had required all abandoned mine openings to be sealed with incombustible material. This one was not. The embers found the hole. Through that hole, heat traveled down into the abandoned mine workings beneath Centralia. Miles of tunnels, rooms carved from coal, all of it connected. Somewhere in those tunnels, the heat found coal. Anthracite coal. Exposed, dry, surrounded by oxygen. It ignited. On May 29th, flames reappeared in the pit. The firefighters came back, doused it again. By June 4th, it flared up a 3rd time. That is when engineers discovered the 15-foot breach. The fire had already entered the mine network. The borough tried excavation. In August 1962, they hired Brady Incorporated for $20,000 to dig out the fire. But the state forbade exploratory drilling to map the fire location. The contractor had to estimate based on surface steam. They dug trenches, removed burning coal, filled the holes with crushed stone. The fire kept burning. It had already spread beyond the excavation site. And worse, the digging had introduced massive amounts of oxygen into the tunnels. The fire moved faster than the shovels could dig. In 1963, they tried again, with a different contractor for $42,000. Same result, failure. By 1965, the fire had reached the Centralia mine, the only active mine still operating. Miners reported smoke in the tunnels, rising temperatures. In March 1966, the mine closed permanently. 70 men lost their jobs. The federal government got involved in 1967. The Bureau of Mines tried water. Thousands of gallons were pumped underground. The water turned to steam and the fire kept burning. They tried fly ash and chemical suppressants. Nothing worked. In 1969, they proposed a major containment project. Seal a 35-acre tract with fly ash slurry and cement grouting. The estimated cost was $6 million. Bureau of Mines experts believed it would work. Office of Surface Mining experts disagreed. Bureaucratic deadlock followed, and the project was abandoned. That $6 million is often described as missing or redirected. The truth is more mundane. The federal government authorized nearly $6 million in grants for surface mine reclamation across the entire state of Pennsylvania in 1969 and 1970. Centralia's project got caught in bureaucratic paralysis. The money did not disappear, it was never properly allocated to begin with. Should the government have prioritized Centralia when the fire was still manageable? Share your thoughts in the comments. By 1975, the fire covered 50 acres underground. Temperatures in some areas exceeded 1,000 degrees. Nothing anyone tried had slowed it down. That's when Todd Domboski fell into the sinkhole in 1981. The incident made national news. Suddenly, Centralia was not just a local problem, it was a disaster. Congress authorized funding for relocation, and engineers presented one final option. If you had been a Centralia resident in 1981, would you have stayed or left? Let me know in the comments. In 1983, GAI Incorporated delivered its report. To stop the fire, the report said, you would need to dig a trench 3,700 feet long and 450 feet deep. Physically isolate the burning coal and let it burn out over a century. Estimated cost was $660 million. Adjusted for inflation, that is over $1.5 billion today. The trench would have destroyed half the town. Congress rejected the plan. It was too expensive and too destructive. Instead, officials expanded the buyout program. In 1983, a referendum was held and the majority voted for relocation. Congress appropriated $42 million for voluntary buyouts. Between 1985 and 1991, 545 residences and businesses were purchased and demolished. Entire blocks disappeared, but some people refused to leave. They had lived in Centralia their entire lives. Their homes were paid off. Where were they supposed to go? In 1992, Governor Bob Casey invoked eminent domain. Every remaining property was condemned. The state took legal ownership. The holdouts became guests in their own homes. The school closed in 1982. St. Ignatius Church held its last mass in 1993. In 2002, the United States Postal Service revoked Centralia's zip code. The town's original code, 17927, ceased to exist. Mail now routes through 17921, which covers the neighboring town of Ashland. This causes confusion. Some maps and real estate sites show thousands of people living in Centralia. They are actually counting Ashland's population. Officially, Centralia no longer exists. The legal battle dragged on for years. In October 2013, the state reached a settlement with the 7 remaining residents. They could stay for the rest of their lives. The settlement paid $218,000 total. When they die, the state will demolish the structures. The properties cannot be sold or inherited. As of 2020, 5 people remained. By 2026, that number has dropped to 4. Today, there are no abandoned buildings, no rows of empty houses. Everything was demolished. The only structures still standing are the handful of homes where the holdouts live, a few churches, and the cemetery on the hill. The rest is just empty lots, cracked sidewalks, streets that go nowhere. Route 61 used to run straight through Centralia. In 1993, the fire caused so much damage that the state abandoned the route and built a detour. The old section was closed. Barricades blocked both ends. For nearly 3 decades, that abandoned stretch of highway became known as Graffiti Highway. Spray paint covered every inch of buckled pavement. It became a destination. Urban explorers, photographers, tourists. But in April 2020, the owner buried it. 400 dump trucks delivered 10,000 tons of dirt. The road disappeared under mounds of soil. New vegetation is growing. The era of Graffiti Highway is over. The fire continues to burn. It now covers more than 400 acres. stretching north, west, east. At its current rate of spread, it could burn for another 250 years, maybe longer. The fire is monitored by sensors, tracked by satellites, but otherwise ignored. There is no plan to extinguish it, no funding, no political will. Centralia has become a case study, a warning taught in mining engineering programs. The town's eerie atmosphere of smoke rising from cracked earth inspired the 2006 horror film Silent Hill. But the real story is stranger than fiction, a reminder that small municipal decisions can trigger consequences that last for centuries. The people who lived there remember something different. They remember a town, a community, a place where people raised families. They remember neighbors who looked out for each other, who shoveled sidewalks in winter. All of that is gone now. What remains is a fire that nobody can extinguish, a landscape of empty lots, and a warning written in smoke. Centralia will burn for generations, long after the last resident is gone, long after the memories fade. The fire does not care, it never did, it just burns. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more abandonment documentaries from across America.